moments.
All right, hello. So we've had people waiting for us on Facebook. Awesome. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here with Frenchie Davis. Ooh, she got her wine. What kind of wine is that? She ready.
This is just a little Nabilo. It is a Sauvignon, nice and chilled for the moment, because we're supposed to have this hot and spicy conversation.
Yes.
So I'm excited about it.
I'm so excited. So thank you to those, who are coming onto Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'm so excited. I'm stepping up and I'm doing streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So as you're coming on, please let us know that you hear us fine, just so we can know that there's not any issues. Just say you hear us, say hello so we can know you're here. And then let's get started. So people are going to be coming on, but I just wanted to share, this is the month of May, obviously, but May is Masturbation Month, as well as Mental Health Month. So, it's like Mental Health Month and Masturbation Month are not both in May by coincidence. So it makes sense that masturbation, sexuality helps your mental health. It helps you to feel good, to be healthier, to be great. So I decided for the month of May to have some amazing sisters come on and share their amazing journeys about sexuality, about what, just different things that happen in their life, what got them to be where they are right now, to heal other women, to share about their sexual journey, to start healing, and all of that great stuff. I'm so excited. I can't even get everything out. So Frenchie.
I'm getting a little feedback. So if you can ask your audience if you're coming through okay, because it may be just on my end, but I do want to make sure that you're coming through clearly.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Are you hearing me okay? Are you hearing Frenchie okay? Please let us know. I see some people are on. Send us a yes.
Send hearts. You're hearing it clearly.
So as we're waiting for people to start letting us know how we sound, so Frenchie, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you. So you're a sexual abolitionist. First, what does that mean?
I am a sexual abolitionist. So a sexual abolitionist is someone who believes in freeing people from the cultural sexual repression that we are born into, being of this culture, predominantly American culture that I refer to as having studied in various countries around the world, in Cachoeira, Brazil, in your region, and also in Cuba, and studying human sexuality in the Netherlands and in different parts of Europe. I just realized how encaged and imprisoned our authentic sexual selves are. And so as a sexologist, it is my goal to work to help free people through education in sexual health awareness.
Awesome. And so, how did you get to this? What happened to make you decide you want to work with sexuality?
My chair is all in my spotlight. It was a strange journey. I witnessed a lot of violence as a young woman. I lost 4 friends to gun violence when I was graduating from high school. And then one of my lovers was also killed from a relationship gone awry. And I had a lot of questions, and my questions brought me on a journey that started off doing erotic poetry, and some of my work was actually featured on Def Poetry Jam. I did this piece called "Fucking Ain't Conscious" in season 3 of HBO's Def Poetry Jam. And while I was living in New York, I ended up being blessed with working at an AIDS hospice. And I learned, there's nothing like watching someone die to teach you how to live. And that was at the time where, HIV was an assured death sentence, unlike today, where people are living, extensive, healthy lives as long as they adhere to their medications and a healthy lifestyle. And so I learned a lot from that. And from that, I worked at the Museum of Sex. I was one of the first employees at the Museum of Sex in New York City. And I was also I directed a crisis shelter for battered women and their children for 3 years. And then I discovered that there was actually a graduate program for studying human sexuality. And I was like, whoa, and it blew my mind. And I applied and I went for my Master's of Education in Human Sexuality. And I'm finishing now my Master's in Public Health. And so, again, I'm just here to free the people. We're going to free the nipples. We're going to free the penis. We're going to free the vulva. We're here to free everybody.
Yes, free the penis, free the vulva, free it all, free us all. Oh my God. Wow, that's some stuff. That's some stuff. Yeah. When I heard your story, I was just like, you are amazing. And I've just been so excited. Like, I just couldn't wait. And so you did some work for some poetry work for Def Comedy Jam. And you also ended up working at the Museum of Sex.
The only museum of sex in the United States.
Yes.
So the only other country that does not have a museum of sex is Ireland. Mm-hmm. Every other country has a museum of sex.
Right.
So we were really behind the ball.
People really are. And it's so interesting to me because, I've traveled the world. I've traveled to so many different places, and everywhere I've gone, I've seen like statues, sexual statues. I've seen, paintings on the wall. I've seen like can openers of penises and things like that.
Them. Yes.
Right. And so it's like, it's all over and we have sex all over, but it's such a taboo. I don't understand that. Like, how is it a taboo, but we use sex to sell everything? And we have so many different, in India, in Egypt, you can go to different, you can go to different places and you see sexual statues, sexual deities, but yet we have so much shame around our bodies, around ourselves. So Tiffany says she hears us, but there's an echo. Do you hear an echo just on me or on Frenchie, both of us? Or how do you hear the echo?
Try to locate my earpiece. Give me a moment. If we can view the camera to you, and I'll look for my earpiece and see if that helps a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. You can get the earpiece. So
we'll switch the video to you for now, and then I said we'll switch the video to you, and then I'll look for my earpiece.
That's right. Okay. There we go. So she's gonna look for her earpiece. So just me. Okay. So then there's something going on. Usually I'm not echoing. So maybe I should turn this down on my phone a little bit. Okay. So guys, tell me if you hear me. Tell me if you hear me on Instagram Live. Lisa, hey Lisa, can you let me know if you hear me, please? Because I just turned it down. You're okay, so you may not need your earpiece, but
okay. There we go.
So I sound fine. Okay, perfect. Did the echo go away? So on Instagram, I sound fine. Thank you so much. These are the challenges of being live. Just
we're having a Riley moment. We're having a Riley moment.
So I really wanted to, have Frenchie come on and share her story, share her journey. And it's really about sexual empowerment. And my goal, my mission is to sexually empower women, and not just women, really, people. Because really, sexual energy is the most powerful energy. This is what we come from. Yeah. And unfortunately, we've been conditioned to see that something so negative as a sin. We're going to hell. You can only do it before, once you get married and procreate. And that really limits us to be fully empowered. Okay. Brian says, hello, ladies. You are looking quite elegant and amazing this evening. Yeah, Renee, I do hear an echo. So I think the echo's on Facebook and YouTube. So this is my first time doing Facebook and YouTube at the same time for my computer. So I'm going to have to figure that out. If you guys can hear me well, let's keep going because I don't know what else to do. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. So, and I think for you too, Frenchie, you have really been wanting to empower women as well.
Yeah, and definitely, I find that a lot of times women are behind the curve because as we grow up as girls, the girls are behind the curve. And in doing an interview earlier today, because as women of color, particularly, if we're not of the church, we're at least church adjacent, right? And being church adjacent comes with a lot of respectability politics. It comes with, a lot of the no's versus all of the yeses that God has bestowed upon us. And, when I think about even, some of the church ladies, and I always say, they quick to point out the fast girls, but they can never point out the girls that are sexually violated. And so I'm like, hold on a minute. Like we have to take a step back and take a breather back, and we have to evaluate the body that God blessed us with. I mean, look what she gave us. Look what she fulfilled with us. Our bodies are change agents. Whether we're breastfeeding, whether we're twerking, whether we're doing Kegel exercises, like God bestowed this power upon us. God gave us power to jiggle our ass in a way to entice people. And he didn't bestow that blessing on all people. Like let's acknowledge being chosen.
Keep real.
Let's acknowledge the strength in the mating calls and rituals that are bestowed in our DNA to be able to do these amazing things, and the beauty to be able to adorn our bodies, and all different styles of vulvas and different orientations of the vulva. Like, she knew what she was doing. I refer to God in the feminine, and she's like, go and be fruitful, and and God is promiscuous because God is all loving and loving to everyone. So when we use promiscuous as an insult, when God herself is promiscuous because she loves everyone, but you have to use it in a gifting way, not to take it for granted, but we should be loving to everyone. We should be promiscuous in a healthy way. See, I turned that around. Part of that sexual abolitionism.
I love it. I love it. God as a she is promiscuous because God is all loving of everyone. And I've always said, how can a loving God condemn one person and say, you're going to hell? So as a mother, and Mother's Day is coming up, right? So as a mother, how could you say you have 5 kids and you say to one of them, you're going, I don't love you anymore. And the other 4 I love. And you could do no wrong, but you're doing wrong. So, it's like, how is that possible? So for me, one of the things, I grew up Christian and I still consider myself a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe there's a lot of things that the Bible has said that I agree with. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that people kind of misconstrue and make it so that they can control us, you know? And so for me, one of the things that I've learned on my journey is that sexual energy is the most powerful energy. But what happens with the church, instead of, and this is not coming from God or from Jesus Christ, but man made, you know, we live in a patriarchal society. So instead of teaching women, teaching people how to honor their sexuality, how to see their sexuality as sacred, we put fear in us. And so you start saying, you're going to go to hell. This is going to happen. Don't do this. Don't do that. But as human beings, we're human beings. We're spiritual beings first and foremost. But human nature is to go against the grain, to do what you're not supposed to do. And so when you have so much fear and you have so much repression, as opposed to helping you, you have so many people who are lying, they're pretending to be one way and they're doing another way, and then they're also hurting themselves. They're disempowering themselves and hurting themselves sexually. So instead of having, you know, loving, healing relationships with intimacy, with connections, with pleasure, we're suffering. And so, you know, that's why openly having these conversations about sexuality is so important. It's so important, you know. And so how has sexuality, how has masturbation kind of helped you to be empowered?
Oh my goodness. It's funny. So we all have to remember that we've all been masturbating even when we didn't know the language for it. We've all self-soothed at some point, not knowing the language. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't hear the language masturbation. But I did know that I would rub against something, or I was in the pool and, you know, under the pool where the water gushes out and I would stand there. I was being soothed by the water. You know, maybe someone sat under the shower or sat under the faucet and been soothed. Maybe while dancing erotically with a dance partner on the floor, bumping and grinding, and you feel his erection and you're feeling soothed and aroused, it was still a form of masturbation. And so I think we need to expand our ideas about how and when masturbation occurs. I think we have to extend our ideals of who is able to masturbate, because we don't think about children who masturbate, little boys when they're in mother's womb. They don't have anything to do. They're sitting there masturbating, playing with their penis, like, you know, this is what else are you gonna do for eight months? You know, it's like you get familiar with yourself. That was normal. Autistic children, they self-soothe. People later life adults, people over 55 masturbate as they should. It helps with their cognitive functions. It helps keep them vaginally lubricated. Like, these are all amazing things. So we need to make sure that we're encompassing all people. All people should be masturbating. Men should be masturbating because it helps minimize your chances of prostate cancer. Like, this is the biological and physiological design that God made for us to enjoy healthy attributes of our bodies.
Yes.
And so, you know, I didn't know as a child that there was soothing, or the slumber parties that you may not recall with your girlfriends, that you were playing with one another and did not realize that you were self-soothing and self-loving and masturbating and having those relationships with your girlfriends, little girls, and that was totally okay to explore, but you just didn't tell them, you know. Those are like early moments that I like to recall and now celebrate, saying that I was in that discovery mode, and then here we are today, and as you are my sister, I keep you young. I will be 45 in a month or so, and I'm like, yes, I'm happy to prolong the challenges of menopause by masturbation. I mean, these are the things that we don't usually talk about, the great benefits of masturbation.
Wait, so share that again, because that's new to me. So we can prolong menopause?
You can
I'm
prolong.
at age, I need to start thinking about this.
Not prolong menopause, but you can prolong some of the negative effects of menopause.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because remember that when you're masturbating, you are releasing your endorphins, right? And so your endorphins are these hormones in your brain and your nervous system, and when they activate, the body's opiate receptors start responding. So it's like the body's version of morphine. It's the body's version of cocaine. Like all you have to do is masturbate to get high. Like it's a beautiful thing. This design of it, and those opiate receptors, like and they make the endorphins, and your mild depression goes away, and you sleep better. You don't need that better.
Right.
You can just rub yourself to sleep, girl. Just have a beautiful time with it. So yeah, it's
amazing. It is. And so we have both men and women on here. So let's talk about masturbation for both, but let's start with women first. Because the women, we go first, we deserve it, and then we'll go into the men. Because I definitely think that we need to talk about men's masturbation as well. A lot of times, and with sexuality, what happens is men and women, we're not taught about sexuality in school or by our parents. Some of us are lucky, and we've had great parents who were open and able to talk about sexuality. Other of us had great parents as well, but just didn't talk about it, and others who didn't have such parents. But anyway, it's we learn through watching porn or hearing it from friends or these different places, different information that might not.
If you have siblings, you might walk in on your siblings and stumble upon it if you're lucky.
Right.
If you have parents who are open, if you're lucky enough to have polyamorous parents, you might be introduced to this euphoria at age.
Right.
And there are people, in their teens or in their early 20s who get to discover this. Our goal, is to help alleviate the guilt. We want to alleviate the guilt that has been built around this health activity, around this self-love, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to know that whatever religion has told you, I need you to develop your own sexual theology. That's what I learned today. I learned sexual theology. And you have to do what's in your spirit, not works for somebody else. You have to develop your own sexual theology. Because your own inner self would never tell you not to love yourself.
Right.
God would never tell you not to love yourself. And masturbation is purely love. So that would never be a message. No matter what God you pray to, that would never be a message from God. Let's alleviate the guilt. Then we want to take possession of our own body. This means that you control the outcome, right?
Right.
You control the outcome. You control the number of orgasms you have. You control your own choice. You are in charge of that.
Yes.
If you're in charge, you don't have to give that power to anyone else, but you can share it with your lover or your lovers. share it with them. You can teach them what ways that you
have and what gives you pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that.
So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful thing.
So we can
alleviate
that.
and then, you know,
too, if you're gonna incorporate the vibrators,
there have been
studies
that
that vibrators help with vaginal lubrication. They increase desire and arousal and enhance vaginal sensitivity.
So if, say, you may be a little shy with your own finger, you know, you can start off with, you know, the baby vibrator and work your way up.
You know,
something a little more intense. One of my favorite vibrators is the Sibian. And I've had the creators of Sibian vibrator cost $3,000.
I just wanted to share baby vibrator.
Beautiful. Oh, she's so beautiful. That's adorable. So you start small, you can work your way up. You can work your way up, you know? Exactly. But we want these practices to begin early. And also, too, especially if you're a parent and you're thinking about your teens, this is a great way to teach them self-love and prolong sexual engagement with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what, we can't stop puberty. See, puberty is going to happen whether we want it to or not. So this is not something that a person control. So since we cannot stop puberty, we can't lock it up, can't cut it off, you know, like give some other opportunities for them to somebody
Oh, someone asked, you know, I don't remember the price. Actually, I think I got it free. I think I got it free because I bought something else. But you can, you know, you can look on Amazon, but I don't recommend it. It was a good little free one, but I do recommend this Satisfier Pro for those who's asking and want.
I like the color of that one too. I like the color of that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one I like because it has a suction that you can put on right on the clit, and it's good. So it's doing a suctioning movement at the same time as vibrating, and that feels really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So this is a good one to kind of start with too. But before we go deeper into the vibrators, what's that little pink thing that you have on you right here?
This is my darling. So let me share this with all our viewers. Let me turn her around. So this is my 3D clitoris.
And we'll say we have twins.
I take hearts now. Yes, kissy. So I find it unfortunate, and I wish this was in more offices of gynecologists. I really think that they need to have displays of a 3D clitoris because a lot of people cannot identify that the clitoris is an actual organ, you know. And so what they're used to seeing, if you open up the vulva, so the vulva is the outside of the vagina, so that is the pubic bone connected to the vaginal lips, which are called the labia minora. And then you might see this little hood with this little knob inside of the vulva before you enter into the vagina. So most people just see this part and they play with it and they get on it and do all types of things. It's just the rest of the organ. So it's really important to know that there are 10,000 nerves running through this beautiful organ. And you know, in this also, like the penis comes towards the blood. Like they are very similar organs. They're just shaped different. And so, you know, this organ becomes gorgeous, you get blood, you get the good blood flow. And so this is where that arousal, and this causes the body to lubricate. It causes the body to warm up, get moving, and get ready, you know. And so I just really needed people to understand, you know, this I call it point. You know, this is what that organ actually looks like. And so it's really good to have an idea of what full organ of the clitoris looks like.
Yes, thank you so much. It's really important. It's really. I had to do that same thing, but you want to see it on me. That's awesome. And so the male penis has half the amount of nerve endings that the female clitoris has. So the amount of pleasure that us as women can have, and the clitoris, it's made only purpose.
And we deserve that pleasure.
We deserve that pleasure.
Come on, God. I told you God was a woman.
Yes. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Yes. So in terms of for the men, we got a lot of men on. So I can't see it on Facebook, but I see a Brian on, I see Alex, there's a Patrick on Instagram. So we have a lot of men on. And so what advice can you give to the men? Because men are always wanting to be able to please women. So what advice can you give to them in pleasing women, you know?
Ooh. Know that the first step to please her is mentally and not physically.
Yes.
That's step number one.
Mm-hmm.
Step number one. Step number two is play a little more hard to get.
So how so?
So, you know, I always say men are the first to talk themselves out of the pussy. They just talk, and then she's like, womp womp, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as there's always something that he says, and you're like, damn, I was gonna give you some, and you said something so stupid, and now I can't, right? So play a little more hard to get, like, you know, let the buildup ensue. And, you know, as you a tantric specialist, you know, it's something about that buildup.
Yes.
And that buildup and that buildup. And also take advantage of the other senses. Mm-hmm. You know, the talking around the ears. I used to have this exercise where you would just whisper foods in each other's ears. And I'm telling you, it is so arousing when you whisper in somebody's ears and you're like, Cheerios. Mm-hmm. Ooh, and they're like, ooh, meatloaf.
Right.
Ooh, strawberries. You know, you start naming all these foods, and it's like, the fuck? Like, but it's something about somebody getting just right up on your ear and just taking their time, because this is an erogenous zone.
Yes.
Right? So you got to work your way through all of the erogenous zones. The erogenous zones at the ears, the erogenous zones at the neck, the erogenous zones at the lips, the erogenous zones above the nipples, below the nipples, at the nipples, around the areolas. Like, work your way down. Don't rush to get there. So that requires, you know, the emotional labor to get there. Now, I'm not interested in all the labor. So if you're not, then this advice probably is not for you. But if you really want that, you know, and you ask her what she wants, and you're always going to find a woman that does not know what she wants. You're always, she has, you know, taken the time to get to with herself, to learn herself, to value and appreciate the different shapes that are different from the other 330 million people that, you know, exist in the world. You know, it's so amazing. So you really just always say start here and just take your time and work your way down. You got A's to your Z's, brothers. You gotta go A to your Z's. You can't be starting with L and NOP and you know, expect everything. You know, you want her to be like, oh, I can't wait to suck his dick. That's what you want.
True, exactly. And so, you know, I also tell my clients, because I work with a lot of couples, and one of the things that I tell the men is, you know what, sometimes just touch her without wanting to have sex. Just touch her to connect with her, to love her body, give her a massage. And not all of the women of the couples that I've worked with have said, you know what, Now I actually want to have sex with my husband because I don't feel like he's touching me just to have sex. You know, so after we go through this work and the man starts to like just really touch his wife, just to kind of do petty, because we forget how to like pet, you know, we forget how to like, let me forget these words in English now because I'm speaking Portuguese all the time.
Some of the Portuguese
first start dating a woman,
just, you know, what is the Portuguese word for pussy?
Oh my God, now I'm forgetting in Portuguese. Wait a minute. I'm going crazy. Hold on. Pirireca.
Pirireca.
But
yes, now that's a new name for your ass. Come on, yes.
So it's so important to really just kind of shoshota buseta. Thank you, Brian. He's helping me out.
As pussy is universal.
Yeah, so we have. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, through the. Yeah, there's still a neck on that side. As long as you guys can hear, okay. Sorry, I got to figure out what to do because I'm on YouTube.
What's happening over there?
Huh?
What's happening over there?
I don't know. I think just on YouTube there's an echo, so I don't know why.
Okay. Tell them to tune into Instagram and
yeah.
we'll have this party.
Yeah, well, we're also on Instagram, so you can go join us on Instagram, Prondata Prim, and you can see it there as well. So, you know, so it's just really important for the guy to like connect with the woman and not so much just always try to have sex, because sometimes you just want to connect, and the woman will feel more appreciated. She would feel like, okay, she's not just a sex object to you, you know? So doing other things, just like you were saying, you know, women are mental. So if we feel like you're just touching us just to have sex, we're also going to not want it, you know?
Yeah, and not to mention, you know, we like to be the predator a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. I know I do.
And if you take that experience away from us, you know, I like to crawl up on it. I like, you know, to take advantage of you sometimes. You know, I like to surprise you and entice you. And if you take that moment and you're always the one, you know, making the move and not allowing it to be equitable, you know, that will, you know, change the outcome sometimes that you're looking for. So we want to help everyone. Again, as a sexual abolitionist, I want you to be free. And then too, there are so many women engaged in respectability politics. You know, in 1 minute we're listening to men like, oh, she's a freak, she's a hoe, look at her do this. But then you expect your woman to turn around and be that same freak and do the same things that you claim that hoe is doing. Like, you can't have both. You cannot both. Either you're going to celebrate the sexuality of all women and all things that come with that, all the things that they do without labeling it some derogatory term, or you're going to get this very stifled, caged type of sex because you're you're dividing women's behaviors and creating a hierarchy between certain women's actions and other women's actions, you know. So, you know, we have to be really careful about our language, and we have to use more sex positive language around each other. So that's really important.
Yeah. Okay, I just put in my earpiece, so maybe that's better. Can you guys let me know if the echo is better? If someone can let us know. But now I hear an echo in this.
Ah.
For me, it's better without this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the feedback will drive you crazy. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So going on back to the masturbation. Can I show some of my big toys now?
Oh, bring them out. Bring them out.
Earlier, I have.
Yes. Let's talk about it. Yes.
Yes.
She is beautiful. And you know, the technology has really improved in vibrators. I like the womanizer. That's a really good product. I think they run around 150. And you know, they have a really good extensive shelf life now, which and then the womanizer also comes with, you know, the adjustable variables. I think you have another vibrator with the adjustable variables. Do you have that one? So that's important.
Yeah.
The yonis.
Yeah, so this one has like adjustable. Oh wait, let
Yeah.
me take you off. So this one has a different speeds, but I also have some other ones like this where you can adjust the speeds, you know. And I don't have it right here with me, it's in my room, but I have like a small like bullet that you can go up to 7 speeds, and it's just a small. It almost looks like this, but it's a small little bullet, and
So
you can
I'll
adjust the
tell
speed.
you a very cool secret, because you know, you and I, we love to travel. Now we, as sex health educators, a dildo, a vibrator, condoms, lubes are always falling out of our luggage. It doesn't bother us. It's
Right.
not a thing. You know, I wear a Magnum XL cap and people are like, whoa, like, okay, you know. So it's not a thing for us as being seasoned health educators. But
Right.
it is a lot of times a thing for someone who is a little more private, right?
Yeah.
So something that you can do is you get a vibrating toothbrush and you can get a silicone cover to go over it. So vibrating toothbrush has the same kilohertz as a bullet vibrator.
Wow.
Yes, and so you don't want to necessarily turn the brushes on the clitoris, but you'll get the same sensation from the vibrator because the kilohertz are the same measurement. And so you can put a rubber cover over it, and nobody would know. They'll just think, you know, okay, you got 2 toothbrushes. Nobody thinks about it. But a vibrating toothbrush is a great alternative for a vibrator when you're traveling, when you don't want people in your business.
Yes, that's great advice. So Brian says 7 speeds of pleasure. Being a woman is the greatest. I hope I get a chance in the next life.
There you go. There you go. That's right. I love that. I love that.
So, you know, I love my toys. Obviously, I have a whole bunch, and I'm always sharing. So, you know what? First of all, I do want us to give a shout out to Lisa, if she's still on here, mama of 3, Lisa and Patrick. So, I want to give a shout out to Lisa because a long, long time ago, she was reading a series of trilogies by Honeybee Morrison. And she put me onto that. And Honeybee Morrison is a great erotica writer, author, and she has a lot of great books. And that is what really started to awaken me, like sexually, you know. And not only did she write, you know, just erotic stories, but she was very empowering. So she would always give, you know, little tips, little comments about how to, you know, really connect to your sexuality. And it was just great. So it really just kind of helped to open me up, you know, because I come from this you know, very Christian background. And, you know, I was, you know, had to be this good Christian girl. And I realized I'm still a good Christian girl, but I'm sexually empowered now, you know? So like, you know, getting out of this judgment, this,
Yeah.
this is
You're
the way,
you're a
you know,
sex
we live
positive
in
Christian.
this bipolar society where it's either good or bad. Sex is everywhere, selling everything. I mean, sex is what sells our drinks. Sex is what sells our clothes. You see
Shampoo.
sexy women on sex sales. I hear, you know, hair products. You know, if you're gonna go buy beer, what do you see on the beer bottles or the beer commercials? A woman and, you know, wearing sexy clothes and holding on his beer. So it sells everything. But then at the very next minute, it's like you're going to hell because you're doing this. So it's like, so we're confused. We're
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, it's not fair. And you know, too, I think So again, if we consider religion, we have to consider the purveyors of what we see as religion today, right? So that was Saint Augustine, and Saint Augustine originally who crafted a lot of the uh, sexual or anti-sexual practices in the Bible. He was a married man. He cheated on his wife for numerous years, and and then he abandoned his wife and his children, and he felt so bad that he became abstinent. And then he started this, outside of having children, nobody should have sex outside of having children, outside of being married and having children. And so he had this very sex negative response to, his lifestyle and the guilt and the shame that he felt personally. And so he marketed these ideas and these values. But those were not God's values. Those were not Jesus' values. And in fact, if people actually studied Hebrew, which is the original language of the Bible, in Hebrew, they speak of washing Jesus' feet, but feet in Hebrew also means genitals.
Oh.
And so, oh, honey, then the book get real juicy now, don't it? Now, every time you see Jesus' feet, and then you start replacing that with genitals, all of a sudden you got this juicy book. Let me tell you, it's better than Days of Our Lives. Now, this is true, but again, take it out of historical context and not looking at the history around the book and only the scripture, you're going to get a completely different message. So Jesus as well was a very sexual being. We do know that he spent a lot of time with prostitutes, or what we would identify as sex workers today. So we really have to, learn to reimagine the Bible through sex positive eyes as opposed to sex negative eyes. And so I'm sending the request to you. So that changes the landscape of the Bible. And we have to remember that we are all things. We are not good or bad. We have done bad things. We do good things. We are all things. God said, I am. Therefore, we are all things. But most importantly, we are sexual beings. Sex is a birthright to both men and women. It's our birthright.
Yes.
She designed us, sexually, like physiologically. When we walk in a room, we smell a person before we see them. If you've ever been in a room in a crowd full of people and you see this one person that you gotta have, and you look, but you didn't see the other 300 people in the room, it's because you smelled them first. So for God to be this genius that says, even before you lay eyes on this person, I'm going to direct you over to them with your other senses. That's amazing. That's what God designed. She wants us to be responsible sexual beings. She wants it for us. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a cure for mild depression either.
True.
She wants this for us.
Yes. So Tiana asked, what is the name of the person again? So what you were saying? I guess when you were telling us.
Saint Augustine.
Oh, Saint Augustine.
Saint Augustine. And there's a great book on the history and the craft of the Bible that discusses this. It's called Sex and the Constitution by Geoffrey Stone. It's a really thick text because they do a lot of research, but it is the most eye-opening book that I've included in some of my research that is on the market today, that is current and modern.
Now, are you, I forget, but you work with a, not work with, but you did a sexual theology program?
So, yes, I am a board member for
that's board member.
for the Incarnation Institute for Sex and Faith. And actually, if you visit my page today, I was interviewing one of our theologians, Reverend Lisette Cross, and we were talking about the Black church and sexuality. And what we do is, and what I do is contribute as a sex health professional to discussing the sexual repression in the Christian faith and how we can manifest better practices. So we have to change the paradigm, and we have to manifest better practices. And because under theology and certifications, there is no sex education required. And how can you not require some form of sex education under theology, knowing that we are sexual beings that God created?
Yes.
So we have to begin there. I see Alex has a question. Ever read Genesis? What was Mary's profession? Remember Abraham? Yeah, teaching Abrahamic teachings and his formula is part of what's fucked us today, quite frankly. And so we, with all of the relationships, there were poly relationships. Remember, if your husband died, you had to marry your husband's brother. Remember, we don't talk about all of these relationships. We don't talk about the polygamous relationships. We don't talk about the same-sex loving relationships. We only want to talk about the relationships with a married man and woman. But God has always created this dynamic of diverse relationships in the world. She's always done that. And they are in the Bible, but we're conveniently cherry picking and looking over all of those different relationships.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Because there's a power dynamic. There is, patriarchy and misogyny at the hem of that. And again, those are man's teachings. Just like there was a Bible that was cultivated just for slaves, where they would take out different components of the Bible because they did not want the slaves, those who were enslaved, to rise up. So they specifically, and you can look at this, is even in the Bible Museum here in Washington, D.C., but there were Bibles curated that only those who were enslaved were allowed to read. So this is no different, that there are messages crafted and there are Bibles crafted to design to control a dynamic. And the best way to control a population of people is most often through their spirituality and through their sexuality.
True. So true. So true. And so you had an interesting story of also what kind of led you to being able to enjoy life. So you used to work with people who are dying in AIDS hospice. And so what was that like, being around people dying? How did that make you connect to life, wanting to live, and help you to change in this sense?
Well, let me even speak about the work that I've done most recently. I was working under the Ryan White grant. I was a prevention manager for PrEP, which in PrEP is a drug that basically a prevention drug to HIV. So if you're with your partner, you're having unprotected sex. And the truth is, you cannot guarantee monogamy, so you take PrEP so that you're protected from HIV. And our target audience was our target demographic were women over the age of 40. And you'd be amazed at how many other clients that I had, women over 55, newly infected with HIV. In fact, almost 50 CDC reports, almost 50% of people now infected with HIV are over 55. 50%.
Wow.
So 47% of people over 60 are still sexually active. And again, this is what happens when we forget that all people are sexual beings, that we all have these desires, we all have these needs. They are instinctive, they are biological, they are physiological, they keep us alive, they keep us active. And so, nursing homes have been hotbeds for STIs and STDs for quite some time now. And I'm doing a lot of work around what type of policies that we can add to assisted living homes and nursing homes to make sure that later life adults or geriatric adults are safe and consenting, because we never talk about sexual violence in nursing homes, heaven forbid. Right? So we want to make sure that they're safe and consenting, that they have access to prophylactics, that they're not being shamed, and that, that they can have a good time in their privacy, and mama and nana and grandma and grandpa can, live their life in a safe, healthy life. So it's really, really important. And, always working with people with HIV. And I think what's so special to me is when I see people who have been HIV positive for 20, 30 years, like that's the highlight, because I've lost so many dear friends. They weren't just patients. They were friends. They were family that, I got to know. And for, our president at that time, which was Reagan, ignoring this epidemic that began to grow, much like our current president today, ignoring the information about COVID, and then we see this outcome today. So this happens amongst a lot of our political leaders, where they want to brush these concerns under the rug because it's not serving them at the time. And so, to no fault of their own, HIV could have been contained when it was first discovered.
Right.
It could have been contained. So I'm not going to blame people for not being informed and not understanding and not having the education that they need, that they deserve to live a better and safer life. So again, when we're talking about being a sexual abolitionist, I want to make sure that people are free and that they have access to the information that they need and that they deserve, so that they can engage and be at peace and be loving and be kind and nurturing to one another and have good orgasms.
Yes. I'm always pro good orgasms. Because so this is another thing. Our
vaginal orgasm or mental orgasm or a spiritual orgasm. There are all of these different types of orgasms that we're bound to have. And so for any type of orgasm that you're having, I value all of those orgasms and not just one particular type of orgasm.
Yes, exactly. Me too. And that's what I was going to say. Like, our entire body is orgasmic, but what happens is our body goes to sleep, right? It lies dormant because we're always focused on the genitals, on the breast, on the lips, And so, but I have had orgasms from people touching me on my head. Oh my God, that feels so good. My feet, like our entire body is orgasmic, so we have to remember that and not just keep focusing on certain areas and focus on our entire body.
Yeah.
So
and that's why you need to say, just stick the head in, right? Because they know that the shaft is not the full concern. They just need to just the head, right? Like it's not always about the whole shaft or the whole penis. Like that's what they're telling you. Like, this is what's serving me, And we haven't talked about the men yet, but I don't want to leave them out, because a lot of men are as sexually repressed as women. We should under no guise that because they don't maybe have some of the same shaming that we do, that they're freer than us. I look at boys being pressured all the time.
We're gonna have to do live again on Instagram because it only does an hour.
And, that's
I'm going back on.
It's not fair to them that,
and then you could just join them on again on Instagram.
So much to engage in sex, and
okay, I'm back on Instagram.
And they don't know what to do, because then people are questioning their sexuality, and so I'm coming in with you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry on Instagram.
So,
It cuts us off after an hour. So
it's not
we're
fair
getting
to
back
them
on
that
live here.
somebody's going to say, well, you're not, you must be gay because you not, you don't want to fuck me. Like, I see girls do this all the time. So the guys are under the pressure, the boys are under the pressure, just like girls are under the pressure.
Right now, I'm back on Instagram.
There we are.
All right.
Everyone. So yeah, we we're all under unfair pressure. And men don't get the voice that we have, right? They don't call them Mitches and bitches and all this. So that's pressure. You can't even complain about it because somebody can call you a bitch if you express your concerns about it.
Right.
So it's really not fair. It's really not fair. So we have to do better. I see Gold has a question. Did you see Gold's question? I want to make sure that I didn't overlook Gold's question. How do I feel about Western society and sexual shame and guilt? Well, it's put me at work. Like, I'll never be out of a job because sexual shame is in the fabric of American culture. Any place else I go, and I mean, when Renee, you love Indian culture like I do. Like, when I think about Buddhism, and one of the things that I love about the pillars, like, their gods are always naked, and you can play with their nipples and the Teletubby and their bellies, and they're just naked and happy and sexual beings, and they have they even have a guide. They give you the Kama Sutra because sex is everything. They're like, this is a part of me. Like, come get some and meditate and be with God. And then here we are in America. So then it's all fucked up.
Right.
I'm on the wrong continent. That's what I feel about it. I'm on the wrong continent.
So true, so true. It's so funny because I feel like we have more men on here than women, which is interesting. I really have to change my clientele to be men, huh? Hell yeah. So Brian says, hell yeah, orgasms make love, lust, and harmony expand on the earth and reduce the power of coronavirus.
That's right. That's right. And do it safely. Make sure you take your temperature first.
Yes.
But I also want to say for the women who may tune in a little later, that masturbating also strengthens your pelvic floor, and your pelvic muscles. And, you really need this as you age and get older, because that's going to help reduce incontinence. So women that can't always hold their bladders, who may have to wear Depends and things like that, like masturbation, doing your Kegel exercises as you get older, this is to help with that. Again, God gave this to us to help us. There are just so many health benefits to masturbation that we're not discussing. I have yet to be to a gynecologist like, and my gynecologist like, have you been masturbating? Because you getting old and you're gonna need to do this shit, right? So I need them to encourage more people to masturbate, because this is that important. It increases blood flow to the vagina, it so that you are, like I said, you're minimizing the negative effects of menopause. So we know that it's a cure for mild depression. We know that it helps relieve anxiety. We know that it can help you with your sleep. That it releases endorphins. It also can help pregnant women if you're not a high-risk pregnancy. It eases lower back pain, and it also helps you sleep. So that's really important. So there are just all of these amazing things around masturbation. And Google House Augustine invested sex, really good New Yorker article there. I will be happy to look that up. Yeah, there's most people haven't even heard of St. Augustine, but he worked us for centuries.
Yes. Thank you, Kirstiana, for that. Yeah. So it's, I'm sorry?
I said he put me at work, man. Yes.
Yeah. So it's so interesting. You know, when I lived in the US and I've gone to the gynecologist, never really talked about like none of this stuff. I remember going to the gynecologist. I was like, you know, early when I was like in my 20s, I would have painful sex. And I was like, to my doctor, oh, you know, I'm having painful sex. And she's like, oh, change the position. Like, I'm like, yeah, I've done different positions. Like, it doesn't help. And so, well, take some Tylenol beforehand. I'm like, what? And being here in Brazil, which is interesting, and I don't know, you know, all gynecologists, maybe I just lucked out, I don't know, but I've been to gynecologists here in Brazil, in Chile, and I found that they have done so much more than any gynecologist I've ever gone to in the States. Like in Brazil, they will actually, I've had the gynecologist put their fingers in, tell you to squeeze your muscles, and then tell you, okay, good, your pelvic muscles are strong. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're checking
But I've never had them do that in the States. And, you know, I used to have like a lot of yeast infections. And my gynecologist in the States would just, you know, here, you know, take the monostat cream, whatever.
Your
And,
drug.
you know, going to gynecologists in this other country, here in other countries, they're like, use baking soda because, you know, that balances the pH balance, you know, and so all these different things. And I'm like, so, you know, in the States, I mean, you have a gynecologist who's supposed to study the vagina, the vulva, woman's anatomy, but they're not helping you things that you need.
But they're coming with their sexual shame too.
Yes.
Right? Exactly. They're coming with their religious values, with their Christian lens, sex negative lens, and it is deemed inappropriate to talk about that. I mean, in honesty, at your age, to discover what was really wrong, you would have to go to a pelvic specialist. You know, like your gynecologist wouldn't get that. And
no.
So that whereas again, at a place where, you know, sexuality is celebrated. You know, they were like, oh, something broke. Wait a minute, we got to fix this shit. Hold on, mama. We know.
Right.
Oh, you need your loving. Hold on. Let's check your pelvic floor. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what the source of this pain is. And before we drug you, you know, because that's only putting a Band-Aid over it. Well, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we have work to do.
We do.
So much work to do.
This is great. This is just really, really great talk. Just again, we can go on for this for hours.
Renee,
go ahead, yes.
I do want to bring up, you know, especially as my women get older, and I feel this more as I'm getting growner and growner, as they say. But this is Uberlube, so I'm gonna show it to everyone. Okay, so you know, like I know, but first of all, I swear by this lube. One, because it's not gimmicky, right? You see a lot of advertisements for lube and they're cheesy as fuck and shit is sticky and they're talking about scents and all this kind of crazy bullshit. It makes it hot if you blow on it. Like, I don't need you making my clit hot. Like, what? So the Uberlube, it dissolves like, it feels like baby powder after you. It's just the softest lube. I like it again because it looks like a fragrance bottle. Again, it's not cheesy. I love the packaging of it as well because it's still discreet. You know, you got kids around, you can put it on the counter. Kid is not going to think anything about this lube. Very minimal ingredients. It's hypoallergenic. So if you are sensitive and you have sensitive skin and sensitive body parts, like this is perfect as well. This is so diverse. I can even use it to oil my hair. Like,
wow.
Yes. And it's good. And it's not, you know, sticky or anything, but it's just a very fine oil. And you only need like literally dabs. And it just does wonders. And so I say this to say, as women age and our bodies change and our hormones are shifting and we have to readjust. And sometimes there's shame about not being, not having the same vaginal secretions that you had when you were younger. But you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to pull out some cheesy ass bottle of lube. You know, you can use the Uber lube and it will work wonders. And I want you to still take joy in knowing that your body is just transitioning. And when your body is transitioning, you know, you have to meet your body where it is. And that's totally okay as well.
Right. So, Frenchie, can you give us a little summary, maybe like top 5 tips or something like that about masturbation? Maybe like 5 tips for why you should, the benefits, and just a little overall summary of everything. We also have a lot of people that just came on, especially on Instagram, since we just got back on. And then here, just in case there's people that just came on late. So give us a little summary.
Sorry, they can watch the playback anyway. So 5 takeaways. 5 takeaways. No more guilt. That's takeaway number 1. No more guilt around self-love. Self-love is necessary. Self-love is a health necessity. It is a necessity. It is not a desire. It is a necessity. So let's be mindful of that. Takeaway number 2, take possession of your body and control your outcomes, control your orgasms. You, in any other situation, you with another partner, you don't have the same control. And when you're masturbating, you have all the controls. It's all yours for the taking. So enjoy that. Also, takeaway number 3, don't forget to look at your vulva. Ladies, like a great exercise, I would say, you know, you should take a picture of it and then sketch it.
Ooh, I like.
I do nude sketch classes. I do body positivity classes, and it's a great return for people, you know. And you don't even have to tell anybody what it is. And it's not about drawing a perfect picture. There isn't a perfect body, so there won't be a perfect picture. It is simply just for you. It is just for you to get familiar with your body. So if you're bold enough, you know, take a little picture, get your little flashlight, take your nice little picture, and then draw it so you know what yours look like. Because like if you're looking at porn and you're looking at all this other stuff, you're gonna see like they're all totally different. And they're like all these different vulvas all over the world. So it's really awesome. Takeaway number 4. Remember that masturbation is the release of the endorphins. It's like your natural morphine. So your body is receptors, you know, is linking onto your opioid receptors, and so you know you can get a high from your masturbation. You don't need the Tylenol. You don't need the Motrin. Like you just need to masturbate. So that's really, really important. Also, takeaway number 5, remember that this is helping your pelvic muscles, because we don't want you getting older and having the TT on yourself and wearing the pins. And you know they ain't cute and they ain't got no thong pins yet. So help yourself, you know, practice your Kegels, practice your masturbation, so that as you age, you know, this is better for you. It will help you with some of the impacts and the effects of menopause, and it will help strengthen your pelvic walls. Yay!
Yes, awesome. Thank you. So share with us how people can get a hold of you. While she's doing that, if anyone has any questions, please write now so we can be sure to answer any last questions before we end. But yeah, how can people get a hold of you?
Okay, so I know it's a little difficult because my my Instagram is in French, but it's Dis la vérité. Dis la vérité ici. It means speak the truth, because I'm always going to come with the truth. So you can find me on Facebook at Dis la vérité. You can find me on Instagram at Dis la vérité. My actual personal page is Frenchie Davis, and let's be mindful, there are plenty of Frenchie Davises out there, so please choose the right one. I'm not the singer Frenchie Davis. I don't sound as good as her. I am the sexual abolitionist Frenchie Davis, and we'll rock out like that. But yeah, look me up. You got questions? We're here to do the work with you.
Dis la vérité on Instagram is DIS_LA_VERITE. And on Facebook, is it with the underscore as well or no? Yes?
Yep.
Easy. All right.
So
I'm going to just put up here.
Truth here.
And then personal is Frenchie Davis.
Yes.
So we have Mata Marcelo in Portuguese said, adorei as explicações fantásticas vocês. So he's like, I love the explanation. It was great. Thank you, Marcelo. Obrigada. So that is how you can reach Frenchie Davis on Instagram and Facebook. So all this month, every Wednesday this month, we will be doing a special for Masturbation Month. So we're gonna have I have different people lined up today. Frenchie Davis. I have someone on the 13th, the 20th, the 27th, 7 p.m. So make sure you're here. And you guys know you can find me, Renee Adolph, on Facebook, Prandata Prem on Instagram as well as here. So yeah, anything else you want to share? Anyone else? Any last questions, comments before you go?
I just really hope that just people take the time to just practice self-love.
Yes.
Your homework is to masturbate.
Yes. Homework, masturbate. Get to know your body. Use your hands. Use toys. Experiment. Oh, by the way, we got more men on here. I've used this on men too, and it's been great.
One important thing: you have to wash your hands.
Yes.
Like we forget, and especially women who have nails, we forget what we carry under those nails. So please, at all times, any type of sex, always your partner, you have to wash your hands. It is the quickest way, what I call a coochie cold. You get a coochie cold if you don't wash your hands. You should be coughing and spitting up shit you don't want her to spit up. So please make sure you wash your hands so you don't catch coochie cold. So wash your hands.
Yes, we don't want no coochie colds. No coochie colds. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a joy to have you. I have to have you back again because this was really great. Yeah. So, and there's just still so much more. So this could honestly go beyond just this month, but I wanted to make sure to just, have a lot of different people speak and share their stories and experiences to just really become more sexually empowered, and to release the shame, the guilt around sexuality. So thank you so much, Frenchie. This was amazing. This was awesome. Thank you guys for coming on to watch us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This is amazing. So this is my first time doing it all at the same time. So this was great. Great experience. So we're stepping up. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to masturbate tonight and every day this month. It's Masturbation Month and Mental Health Month. Yay. Obviously, the two go together. So help your mental health by masturbating.
Do your homework.
Yes. All right. So Deepak91 on Instagram says, thank you, Frenchie Baby or Frenchie Baby.
I love that.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.